Whoop whoop. It's the sound of the police. The mean police. What's up, guys? It's been a while. It's been about a week since our last stream. But man, we did like 5 streams that one week. And I was preparing like a madman for my game. And oh, I hear something starting. Oh, yeah, there. Whoops, wrong window open. Anyways, we did all those great streams, made up a whole bunch of cool stuff. Then I prepped for my game, and I played my game, my first session of Sewers Under Sandwall, and it was radical. Totally went down super awesome. And then all of last week, I decided to take a break from crafting, from terrain building, from the channel. Decided to kick it with a bunch of TV shows in the evening, catch up on Vikings and Game of Thrones, start some drama on the internet. That's how we do. But a week is long enough to be away, and I'm back at her here. Sewer stuff's all done, right in the middle of the sewer game. Players are deep in the sewers. So we're gonna pick up with this, my in-between project. Joshua Morris, good evening, buddy. Nice of you to get here nice and early. Lex, how you doing? You may remember this building from the exciting shingle work that went on here. I afterwards went and added some shingles to this little half roof here, and last night I decided to do a base coat so that tonight I'd be ready for dry brushing, but as tends to happen, I ran out of my brown paint partway through. So I got everything coated in brown except for the wood on the floor. What's up, Jeffrey? Good evening. Nice to see you. So I'm going to quickly hit this stuff with a coat of brown to get it caught up to everything else, and then I am going to start doing some of the dry brushing. So today I went to Michael's, picked up some more. I used this espresso color as my base brown, and I managed to go into Michael's needing this brown paint, and I left only with 2 bottles of this brown paint. So I'm super proud of myself for showing such excellent restraint and not buying anything else. So, man, Jeffrey's got a sweet job where he can just watch dudes on YouTube all shift. That's the life, man. That's the life. Well, I hope this makes your shift go by a little quicker. Oh, drinks. What's up, Jamie? Welcome to another exciting Blackmagic Craft stream. What are we drinking tonight? You guys probably know me well enough now to know that I'm not a big IPA fan. I'm not a big lover of hoppy flavors. I like things roasted, I like things bold, I like things dark. However, I also really like craft beer with sweet artwork, and I'm a sucker for good typeface and nice printing, so I could not resist this. This is Driftwood Brewery. I had one of their brews on a previous one. Let's just see here. It is their 20-pounder double IPA. Double IPA is exactly the opposite of what I would like to drink. Instead it's really hoppy and really citrusy. That's not my jam. But look at this beautiful, beautiful bottle. Like, who could resist that? Sweet ass skull, gold, gold leaf print, nice cutout. It's beautiful. The thing's going on the shelf. It's worth the money. And you know what? It is very hoppy. Like, it is bitter. It's like drinking a pine tree, but it's not bad. It's not as bad as I thought it might be. So, hold on here. Hey, Demon Jester. Good evening, dude. I haven't been on my subscription for a couple days on YouTube, so I don't know what day you're at, but I hope you're still going strong with the no smoking. Last time I saw you were a week in, so congrats, and I really hope you're still at it. Let me just open something up here. A new window. Got to get another. I'm just gonna get another chat window going here so I can keep up with you guys. Oh, Jamie can't find the octopus pens. Okay, if you can't find them, there are links in the video description for 2 places that you can order them online. Both of which I think might be as cheap or cheaper than Dollar Tree, depending on where you are. If you're in the States, you shouldn't have a problem ordering them from there. So, Demon Jester, my friend, is on 17 days smoke-free. That's awesome. That is fantastic. I personally, I'm going to raise a toast to myself because I am 4 weeks away from being 1 year smoke-free. So, if I can do it, you can do it. Scavenger King, good evening. Yeah, man, I don't know if you're saying nice texture work on the bottle art or the building, but yes to both. Okay, where was I? I need to get a bit of brown onto this, like I said, to get things caught up. Just gonna move around. Oh, also, guys, check it out. New overlay. I finally managed a way to fit everything here. I think it works good. Give you guys a nice unobstructed craft area. Still got the new webcam going. I'm having a hard time getting the colors right, but it's not too shabby. Next month, 3 years. Right on. That's awesome. I don't know what it's like wherever you guys live, but up here in the Great White North, it seems like the non-smokers are finally totally outnumbering the smokers, and that's why I was able to quit. It became so inconvenient to smoke. Felt like a social pariah. Everywhere you went was not smoke friendly, and I always felt like an asshole lighting up. So finally quit cold turkey. And you guys might not know this, maybe do, maybe I've mentioned it. This whole crafting hobby is the result of quitting smoking. When I quit, all of my hobbies were tied to smoking. You know, writing music, whatever I was doing, I always had associations with smoking, like a routine of how that, went to smoke. So when I decided to quit, I realized immediately that I needed to change my surroundings, change my routine, start up new habits. And it was right around the time I decided to start playing D&D, and I got inspired by Scotty and Drunken and Dragons to make some terrain, and I was instantly hooked. And the awesome thing is that it was the perfect thing to keep my mind occupied and off of smoking. And I also didn't have any habits tied to it, like, you know, with music, it's like when I would complete a certain part of the production, that would be a smoke. When I'd want to review the mix, you know, I'd bounce it and go outside, let's put on some headphones and review with a smoke. But with this, I didn't have those triggers, so I was able to just concentrate on making stuff. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to say crafting was the reason I was able to quit, but it definitely helped. All right. This is a little bit of a tedious task to be doing on a stream here. It's a lot more fun when we make shit up, but this is what I got going at the moment. So, which part of Canada are you in? Ontario. Oh, hey Jamie, not too far away. I'm over in Winnipeg. What's up, Alan? Good to see you. Do I seal my foam or do anything for the piece longevity? Yes, I do two things. One, before I base coat everything in black, I'll typically give everything a brush of watered down PVA. Sometimes I'll even mix in black paint at the same time, and that'll give it a bit of protection. But the big thing I do to really protect it in the long run is once everything is painted, I spray my pieces with Minowax which one is it? I think I'm using a gloss varnish. I can't remember. This stuff here. So depending on what the piece is, if it's something wet, I will, let me just make sure this is on screen. If it's something wet, I will seal it with this, with a clear gloss, and I have a clear satin. So all my previous FOAMCORE buildings, I have coated in 3 coats of that clear satin varnish, and it gives everything a really nice, hard finish. I mean, they're not rock solid, but they're pretty damn good. I've also noticed that it really brings out a lot of color and detail in the pieces, just adding that clear coat. It actually improves them visually. So that's what I do. A word of advice though, if you are planning on going that route, I have found from personal experience that it's actually important to use the Minowax stuff and not the Varathane brand stuff. The Varathane stuff has a I guess a carrier or a solvent in it that is much stronger than the Minowax stuff, and it will eat through styrofoam pretty aggressively. So if there's anything you missed in sealing it, you know, that's a kind of risky thing. But the Minowax stuff is actually awesome because it, so far, and I've tested it on a few pieces of raw styrofoam, doesn't melt it at all. So you can actually spray it on the piece even if you didn't do a coat of PVA on top of it, which that's huge for me. Because sometimes I skip the glue coating step because I want to get to painting or whatever. And that's okay with the Minox. I can just spray on after. So, good thing to know about the difference of the brands. But yeah, since I did that on a few pieces, now I'm going crazy spraying on everything. All the old completed pieces that I've done that I actually really like and really care about have now been getting a coat of that stuff. Okay, so now we're all base coated. Oh, I gotta catch up with you guys here. "25 years. 6 months, man, that's pretty good. In a few months, you'll stop thinking about it. I promise you." Aaron, what's up, buddy? Aaron says he's gonna start making some videos and like some feedback. Yeah, just shoot me some links, man. I will check them out and let you know. Help you any way I can. Yeah, man. This is the Minoax stuff is like seriously the fabled stuff. If they made a black spray paint that did that, I'd be buying it by the case. Okay, I need to mix up some. I want to start hitting this stone. Good luck at 5 in the morning, Demon Jester. That sounds horrible, but good for you. Okay, so this stone, I base coated it in this graphite that I mixed a little bit of tan into. I want to try to give this stone a less stereotypical gray look. I want it to be a little bit more earthy, like river stone. So I'm going to continue mixing in some different colors. Maybe I'll move this up a bit so you can see what I'm mixing here. I think mixing in a bit of this tan gives it a bit more of an earthy feel. And I think I'm going to actually add a very small, not gold, I don't want gold, of this kind of fawn beige to lighten it up a bit more. So how many of you guys here play D&D? My guess is most of you. Or Pathfinder, or something similar. Okay. So now, this is looking a little bit more orangey beige, which I'm totally fine with. I think that'll be good. And we're going to go in and start dry brushing. My plan is to do probably three stages of dry brushing on this stone, and then I'll hit everything with a wash. You know what? I should probably individually base out some of these stones in a different color to get some variance. Now, I don't know if I want to do that. I need, there's this. I'm just going to try to find a, I think I'll do some red ones. I had to try to be a little bit more adventurous with my painting. But anyway, what I was saying is I will probably do 3 dry brushings on this and then do a couple washes. And I always play it too safe, doing everything just a couple shades of gray, so we're going to try a few highlight stones. Hey Kalia, welcome, glad to have you. D&D, and I use the stuff for Warhammer. Yeah, I think the war gamers, they get to get a bit more longevity out of their pieces, which I'm kind of jealous of. They get to make really nice permanent tables and stuff, whereas the D&D crafters always trying to do one-off pieces and trying to keep things modular. But I think most of us D&D crafters owe most of our techniques to the war gamers, that's for sure. Okay, so there's a couple. Wait, somebody actually making, I see Castle Ravenloft. Someone actually gonna make that? That'd be pretty badass. Okay, I think I'm going to also hit a few of these stones with the dark brown. Never know how many different colors to do for stuff like this. Like whenever I start this, I then think that the massive 80% or 90% gray stones looks wrong. I feel like I need to make like 12 different colors. But I don't even know what colors to add. Also, when I carved this out here, you see on the corners, I did like more like a square. Come on, focus, stupid camera. like a square brick on the corners. I feel like that stuff should be a different color, but I don't know what color, so suggestions. You guys are talky today. I can't keep up with you. But drop your suggestions about what I should do for these corner brick pieces. I feel like they should be a different color, but I don't know what to do them other than gray or brown. Almost like, is it crazy to paint them like really light? Dark gray. I don't know if I can go much darker than what's already on here. Okay, now we can get back to some dry brushing. I don't know what is the correct way to do this when you do different colored field stones, if like the different colored one should have a different colored dry brushing, but I ain't that fancy. They're all gonna get hit with the same color for a dry brush. Darker gray. Okay. Probably should have done that already then. But I'll finish this and I'll go back and I'll hit them with a darker gray. Did you guys see any good memes this week? I saw many, albeit not very good ones. But I'm not going to get into that. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so that's that. Yeah, man, is anybody else painting or crafting? And if so, what are you making? Do some blackish or dark gray ones too, maybe even some bluish slate. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this graphite, which is already kind of a bit of a blue-gray, and I think I'm going to add just like a tiny drop of blue to it. I don't know, I'm bad at gauging this stuff. And then also a bit of black. So I like that idea. Where is the big bottle of black? Now I gotta try to not do too dark. I know I'm doing this totally backwards. I should have had all this done before dry brushing the first coat of dry brush, but let's go back and go over it again. Making doors. Oh, nice. I gotta show you guys the door I made last night. after I ran out of brown paint base coating, I made up this. Now I know it looks like a pretty rhinestone-y door, but I'm doing the same rhinestone thing we did on the sewer pipe for rivets, and basically I just needed this big steel door. So it's got all the rivets on it. I'm gonna paint everything up like metallic. It's got these little beads on here. Those are gonna hold, I'm gonna make some torches on it with toothpicks. It's gonna be sweet. So maybe I'll end up getting to that too tonight, depending on how this thing goes. Oh, do. Tell me, Warren, there's a new name. Welcome, buddy. The door is fabulous. Okay, let's see how this dark gray looks. Go in, get a couple of these stones. Yeah, I think this will definitely help make things look a little bit more random. And maybe I'll actually do some that are even darker. Okay, I'm gonna do these bricks like this. I'm wondering if maybe I actually do every second brick instead of every single one. See, so they stand out a bit more, because they're not, the detail's not carved in super strong. Okay. Trying really hard tonight to keep the project on screen. Okay. So, what do you think? Should I go in to these every second one and make them even darker? Or leave them the way they are, or just paint them all dark gray, like the same color here? I'm definitely better at building things than I am at painting them, so this is one part of the process that I am actively trying to improve. By the way, guys, I think it's absolutely awesome that you regulars are in here with me every time and getting to know each other and knowing each other from Scotty's Facebook group and stuff. I don't know. Gives me all the good feels. Okay, so that's all of those. Now I'm going to go in, hit a couple stones with this color as well. get too crazy here. You guys have an answer for me yet about every second one? Come on, guys, don't let me down here. What am I doing on these bricks, the alternating ones? Do I just paint them all the same color? Do I make them a little bit darker? Do I go like really light? I wanna have them kind of stand out, so. The answer is probably I just paint them the same. Alright, I think the cornerstone should be dark gray. Should be dark gray instead of the pattern texture gray. Yeah? You think just paint them all the same dark gray? I'm gonna add some variants to these stones while the rest of you chime in with your 2 cents on that one. Because you know me, I like to use your guys' suggestions. It's half the reason I'm doing this, man. It's like free on-demand suggestions. It's awesome. And I'm not just second-guessing myself all the time. I'm not totally sure yet if this floor will also get the other reddish colors. Probably will. I mean, it would make sense. The floor and the walls are made from the same stone. Add a few here. Gotta do this side too. Okay, now, do we have an answer? Some sand color would look good on some of the stones. Yeah, I might do some real lighter ones like that. Toss a little blue into your dark gray. Make them slate. And we're weathering. A few towards the bottom to accumulate grime for weathering. I think what I might do after everything is done is do a little bit of green, kind of moldy stippling on stuff. Uh-oh, Alan missed the beer. Recap. We're drinking this. It's just look at this bottle, Alan. It's a Driftwood Brewery 20-pounder double IPA. I bought it because of the fancy picture. Said, fuck you out. Yeah, we ain't ready for flocking just yet. Yeah, Aaron, I do. When this is all done, I'm gonna give everything a couple dark washes, and that's exactly what I do. When I do it, I'll kind of do some streaks down places where it makes sense that it would run off. So I'm just gonna mix a bit more black. That's way too much black. And a bit more blue into this, and we're gonna alternate with this. See how this looks. Probably too much black. Glad I don't use expensive model paints because, man, I am terrible at gauging how much paint to pour out for mixing. Okay, I think this is going to work just fine here. I think it's gonna look all right. Might be too dark. I don't know. Probably overthinking it. Everything's gonna get hit with the light dry brushing, so it'll marry everything together. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself. Oof. Yeah, no, IPAs are not my beer of choice. They are my most disliked type of beer, but once in a while it's okay. I have in the fridge though, one of the local breweries just released a new limited edition coffee porter. That's what I'm talking about. Nice dark roasted porter. Oh yeah. Got our corner pieces all did up. Don't know that I want to, well, maybe we'll do a few with that. Not too many though. There's some water. It's the small details, right? This is worth it. Oh, if I just did grays, I'd be done by now. How are players liking the sewers? Everybody had a fantastic time last session. At least it seemed like they did. The session went really, really great. I think it may be one of the best ones we've played yet, to be honest with you. We went the whole night. It was a 5-hour session, and we only had one combat encounter. The rest was all role-playing and investigation and character development, and it was awesome. I was really happy with the way it panned out, and I was also really happy when we got to that one encounter in the sewers and I got to drop the tiles down. They looked awesome. It was definitely one of those all the players took out their camera moments. I'm starting to think those reddish brown stones are the wrong way to go. I think varying shades of darker blue-gray actually has a really cool look to it. I like the way this floor is going here. Okay, that's enough of those. Oh, man shark. There was no man sharks yet. Well, actually they did. There was one man shark, but it was dead. They haven't got to fight a man shark yet. Oh, nice. Pits of beer in a goblin brewery. That's a cool idea. I like that. So you're basically doing the same thing we did for the sewer tiles, but painting them up like beer. That sounds really fun. John, my man, what's going on? The man, the myth, the legend. The breaker of dams. Okay, so now that we've gone in and, oh shit, don't let your nice brushes dry out like that, you fool. Now that we've gone through and added some extra colors, we're going to get everything back up to the same point with this browny gray dry brushing. You guys can thank John for me streaming tonight because I was really tired and it's been a crazy week and whatever, and I wasn't planning on doing it. And then he posted apologizing that he's going to take a break and only put out a video every 2 weeks instead of every week. And I went, damn, it's been like a month since I did a proper tutorial and a week since I streamed, so it made me feel guilty. So we had to go live here. I think maybe this dry brushing on the alternating stones, is this the wrong idea here? Is it just making them disappear? I don't know, man. It's like friggin' 30 degrees in this room. It's really hot, and that beer's starting to kick in. Okay. Looks okay. No such thing as a dead man shark. It's resting. No, it was very dead and very rotten. Where in Canada are you from? I'm in Thunder Bay, Ontario. I am in Winnipeg, my friend, so not too far away from you. Yeah, I'm a slacker. No, you know what? I've been busy doing stuff on the house and yard maintenance and, like I said, catching up on Vikings, catching up on Game of Thrones. So yeah, I've been slacking. I just haven't been in the mood to shoot a tutorial lately. Streams are a little bit easier to do on a whim. but I don't know what I want to do for tutorial, man. I haven't been inspired for a project. I kind of like, I think I have to admit that I need to just do a video on my basic tile system so that I can then start doing things to build off that. Like, I don't want to just do a video on the sewer inserts if I haven't already shown how to do the tile. But I just like feel like a tutorial on a basic styrofoam square tile is not that interesting, but I think I need to just get it done so that it's there for the people who need it. John, you're making an owlbear? I missed that. If you posted it, I didn't see it. Don't tell me about latest Game of Thrones. I just downloaded it. I was gonna watch it tonight, but I'm doing this instead. So. John, are you scratch building a owlbear or are you doing a kit? Okay, I'm going to add another bit of white. Computer's in the way of my friggin' paints, man. I need to build a paint rack. Where the heck is my... There it is, ivory. Do a video and set the whole thing up, then we'll walk us through how you intend to use everything. Yeah, okay, I think that's, I have to commit to that, making a series on the sewer tiles. Start with the basic dungeon tiles that can be used for anything, and then sewer inserts, and then I'll probably do the pipe, because the pipe was actually pretty cool, easy build. Same with the walkways. Okay. Well, good luck to you with your new foray into mini painting. We've discussed this on the stream before, that I am not quite ready to jump on that ship yet. I know I will eventually, but right now the paper minis are doing the trick for me. And honestly, I'm scared of getting addicted to buying and amassing minis. And I'm worried that then I would spend too much time painting minis and not enough time building terrain. Okay, so now just going over everything with a pretty darn light color, which I always find to be too bright, but always ends up looking really good once the washes go on. Also, one of the other reasons I haven't started painting minis yet, then I gotta buy real paint, man. I don't wanna have to buy real expensive paint. I like my cheap 99-cent, $1 craft paint. I don't think that would do the job on minis. Joshua, yeah, feeding that MTG addiction. I, on the other hand, just went through my collection and decided on selling several $100s worth of cards that I'm not using for anything, that I've just been holding on to. And that's going into funding my game room renovation, which I'm taking holidays in about a month, and then I'm going to tear this room apart to start my proper game room reno. So partner with some Magic cards to pay for flooring and lighting and crap like that. But Josh, are you buying? Did you buy any Eternal Masters yet? Crack any Force of Wills? I'm gonna try not to buy into that at all. I'm gonna wait till that set reduces the cost of Force of Wills, and then I'm gonna buy a playset of Force of Wills. I don't play nearly enough Magic anymore to justify spending a bunch. I'm gonna sell my, on Battle for Zendikar, I cracked a Verdant Catacombs expedition that I've been holding on to, knowing that it will probably be worth several $100s in a few years, but right now it's on the buy list for like $250, so I'm gonna sell it, and that's gonna buy all new shelving to hold my terrain stuff. So I think that's a smarter way to go. Okay. Do a video on renovating the game room. I think what I'm going to do is kind of film some of the progress and then edit it all together and just do like a one video deal. I don't want to drag it out. That's what I do for a living. I'm going to just go and get it done, and that's not interesting to me. I renovate things every day. Okay, stonework kind of done. It's got that unrealistic look to it that should go away with a wash. I always find at this stage, I don't know, it always looks kind of cheesy, but once you hit it with the black wash, it starts to all of a sudden look nice. So I think it's time for dry brushing the woodwork. So I need something to stir with. And what I tend to do is take the dark brown, the espresso color, and I mix in some of this. It's called fawn. It's like kind of like a golden brown. I really need to clean this. It's about time to clean my paint tray. It's hard to mix things because I'm sticking to these mounds of dried paint. What's my wash? I just make a really cheap, simple wash. Black acrylic paint, really watered down with a tiny drop of dish soap, and I'll coat everything in that Sometimes I'll do, like I do one where it's like a really dark brown wash. But black is usually what goes over everything. Okay, so now let's see how this looks here. Gotta make some room. But yeah, that black wash is what gets in on the, especially on like the woodwork, and gets in all the little details that I get from the wire brush. The dry brushing tends to not pick up that really fine stuff that well, so the wash really helps with that. I'm definitely kind of lazy with my dry brushing, but it's okay. I'm starting to learn that what looks good on a finished paint job doesn't always look good during the process. Why do I have to make all these beams? Just make life difficult for myself, right? The ones that buff nails rather than file them, I don't know what you guys are talking about now. Emery boards? I have no idea. Alright, so that is that. Now we can go around hitting the top here. I always have a conflict when dry brushing wood look stuff, because I want to brush it with the grain to kind of keep those lines streaked the correct way. You know, doesn't make sense to have lines this way, but going across the grain tends to pick up all the texture better. So it's a tricky thing. If you go across, you can get streaks that look really unnatural. So you have to kind of like go a little bit diagonally, like go with the grain, but while going across it at the same time. It's a tricky thing. And I'm sure there's a correct method of doing it, which probably involves going much slower and more patiently. Is this that building that could be a tavern or a mill, etc., etc.? Yep, this is the one, also known as my in-between projects project. The thing that I'm building for fun and doesn't have a specific need or purpose yet. It's just another building to add to my collection of buildings. Just trying to build up an arsenal of buildings so that I can set up town situations easily and quickly. So I tend to just improvise them. But yeah, this is the one that we were doing the shingles on before. Too much paint. It's the worst when you go to dry brush something and you have too much paint or the base coat is not dry enough yet. Like this is still kind of wet. I'm going to put that aside and I'm going to move on to this. My plan here is that I'm going to do all the timber stuff on this, and then I'm going to go in and cut in painting all the, we'll just call it stucco in between. I'll do that after. Oh, fucking, that's the worst. And these shingles, I think I'm going to try to paint up like cedar shingles rather than some of the other ones I've done, which were more like a slate. I want these shingles to be a wood shingle. But I noticed there's a whole bunch of spots that I can see through, like white poking through, that didn't get the black bombed well enough, so I'm gonna have to go in there and with a detail brush and hit some of that. Maybe this is actually close up enough that you guys can kind of see some of this wood texture. Normally this stucco, like on all the other buildings I've done, I just paint it like a light beige, kind of tan color. I don't know, but on this one I'm kind of thinking of trying to do something a little bit more adventurous and, maybe doing something like a reddish purple or something. I don't know. Maybe like a burgundy. Just so it looks a little bit different than the other buildings. But I'm a little bit nervous to do that. John, have you got to have your first game yet with all that stuff you've been building, or are you still waiting? You told me before when your first game is, but I don't remember if you're still waiting on it or not. I just hope it goes smoothly for you, buddy, after all that. You've put in an exceptional amount of work into prepping your stuff for that module, so I hope it goes awesome. Terracotta tile roofs. Oh, please share. I hope it's fast and simple, because I am really tired of cutting out cardstock shingles. First game in 2 weeks. Awesome, man. I'm excited for that for you after following all your builds. I think what you need to do is like really stretch out those sessions. Really ham it up so that you get the maximum amount of time out of your terrain pieces. Do your players know that you've been building all this stuff? Like, have they seen pictures or any of the videos, or are they going to be totally surprised by it? How to make a grid on a wooden floor. Well, my first suggestion, of course, is going to be ditch the grid. However, I realized that people like the grid, so you might really want it. So that's personal preference. But honestly, I would just do plank flooring and cut 1-inch planks and have them alternate directions for each tile. Kind of like, I think that's like how Wylock had his on his wood plank flooring, and it makes the grid pretty clear without sacrificing the look of the wood grain or the wood plank, in my opinion. But man, if you haven't tried gridless, I highly suggest it. I don't think I could ever switch to playing on a grid, to be honest with you. But, I mean, some people, especially players, are really stuck on it, so if you need it, you need it. on the side here. Still have glue wisps on this stuff, man. Now just this post. Trying not to press too hard because styrofoam post. Okay, that's that. Your players hate gridless. Fair enough. Oh, I gotta catch up with you guys again. Take a straw. Okay, so John's special terracotta. Take a straw, cut it in half long ways, then cut shingles from each half. I have thought about doing that actually, so knowing that it works, I will probably try it. So, Aaron, if you don't want to do the alternating grid lines or alternating pattern, and you want to do like my method of flooring, I'm not really sure how you would do that. Like if you took a floor like this, how you would put a grid on it without just painting a big ugly grid. That's tough. I would try to solve that solution for you, but realistically, since I don't have to for myself, I probably won't. But I'll keep it in the back of my head. Okay, so all are family members, but they don't know everything I do down at. So they got an idea of what they're in store for, but they don't know all the surprises. That's good. Yeah, why don't you just make like templates for spell effects and different things rather than having the grid on the floor? But yeah, that's a tough one to try to preserve some kind of a grid while having all like wood planks running in one direction. Maybe just don't have wood floors, or do something like Hank does, Drunkens and Dragons on his reverse tiles. He just takes tongue depressors and does like a checker pattern with them. But no, you want to do floors like mine. I don't know. I think that the truth is that floors like mine are not suited for gridless play, unfortunately. Okay, I need to do the really exciting task of getting into these little nooks. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's all these little spots where there's still white showing through. So I need to get in there with some paint. I was gonna do that. Figured with this wash it would be easier to get in there, but seems to just roll away, so not cover. I'm gonna have to actually get in there with some black. This is an annoying part of building here. I'm going to try to invent some kind of technique for base coating in black by like dipping. Like just like a watered down paint in a bucket and dip the whole thing so it gets into every nook and cranny. It's probably a bad idea. There's nothing worse though than a terrain piece that has like a big dot of white or like pink from styrofoam showing through. So, gotta get in here. But I think that's it, actually. That wasn't too bad. I thought there was a lot more than that. I can live with that. Sorry, John. I'm pretty sure I've seen someone else do the straw terracotta before. But, I mean, it doesn't mean that you didn't think of it on your own, so same thing as far as I'm concerned. But the reality is, if there's a technique that you or I or any of the other content creators come up with, I'd be willing to bet good money that wargamers have already been using that technique for 20 years. Seriously, there's nothing that the wargamers haven't already come up with. But sometimes we need reminders about those techniques. And that doesn't mean that a lot of people also don't know about it. So I still think you should bring it to the table. Could have sprayed the roof. Yes, I could have sprayed the roof, but then I would have to have been careful not to get the spray paint on the styrofoam first, because even with the coated glue, I'm always worried that it's going to eat through. But the big thing is I have spray painted these types of roofs before. And the spray paint also doesn't get into every nook and cranny, because there's some that it's like spraying it, I don't know, because I've bent them a lot to give them a lot of depth and texture, there's like little nooks and crannies that even spray paint won't get into. Actually, I found that the spray paint is worse than the brush. Evening, Eric. Okay, where was I? I was going to hit this roof with some of the same lighter brown as the rest of the wood, which I'll probably have to mix up a whole bunch more. Okay, we're going to try this here. We're going for a wood shingle here, so okay. I need a lot more paint for this though. These roofs eat paint for breakfast. Have you looked into getting an airbrush? It is on my list. It's one of those things that deep down inside I know I need. But I have to do some research because as a professional tradesperson, having the correct tools for the job is really important to me. So I'm not going to just go and buy any cheap airbrush. I'm probably going to want to get something pretty good. And I know that there's going to be could be a significant cost in order to do that. And time spent researching it. So I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but I know it's inevitable. I will get an airbrush. I can guarantee it. Like even just for base coating, I would love to have it, or for priming and black bombing. One nice thing about these shingled roofs, though, is they're easy to paint. Like, it's easy to get the weathering patterns just by going against the grain, so to speak. They have so much detail in them. Like, cutting all these individual shingles is so annoying. And bending them all is annoying. But then once you start hitting them with paint, they start standing out and it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. One side done. Good night, Josh. Thanks for being the first one to show up to work as usual. I'll see you next time, buddy. Yeah, 3D printer, I don't know if I'm there yet. That's a whole other can of worms. When they come down in price a lot and you can get something that's actually good at a low price point, then I'll consider it. But I'm not sure if I want to learn 3D modeling software. I know that I could. I have enough experience in Photoshop and graphic design and other things. I'm sure I could pick it up really easily, but I'm not sure I necessarily want to. Tell you, I will have an airbrush much sooner than I'll have a 3D printer. I think I'm more likely to start getting into mold making and casting than 3D printing, actually. I've been putting a lot of thought into that lately. Like getting into sculpting more stuff out of green stuff and making silicone molds and casting it. And I have this like a bit of a pipe dream about maybe doing like black magic original sculpts and selling castings of stuff or selling molds. I think that I definitely have the skills to do the sculpting and stuff and coming up with cool ideas, but I don't know enough about casting and mold making yet to feel comfortable selling something. So I think I'm gonna start dipping my toes into it for personal stuff. I'd rather have a Glowforge than a 3D printer. I've seen the Glowforge mentioned before, but I actually don't know much about it. Yeah, people got mad at your main post with 3D printer stuff. That was weird. That was a weird turn of events on that post. I mean, I was fully expecting people to get pissy, for trying to tell them to keep on subject and whatever. That was expected. But when people started using that as a avenue for shitting on people's 3D printed work, that was not cool. I've seen our community is one of the most friendly communities I've ever been a part of, and that forum or Facebook group is one of the friggin' nicest bunch of people I've ever met. But once in a while, you get a real friggin' asshole on there, I gotta say. Like the one guy in a separate post, there's a guy on there who posted pictures of he had sculpted out of green stuff a beautiful set of like torture chamber devices. They were really, really nice. And a guy goes on there saying, oh, I just prefer, it'd be better if it was handcrafted. Like a guy sculpting stuff himself out of green stuff, then casting it is not handcrafted. Like, get real. I don't know if people have a problem with that. And then, yeah, like the meme issue, whatever. I expected a bit of an argument on that. Maybe I was out of line for suggesting people stay on topic, but turning it into like a witch hunt about 3D printing, that was just weird. So for the record, for those of you who followed that post and wondered what happened to it, it did not get deleted by the mods or anything. I decided to eventually delete it, not because I felt there was anything wrong with the post, but just because I felt like it had served its purpose and was not, doing anything more productive at a certain point. And, I wanted everybody to get back onto sharing their work and whatever. So I deleted the post, and I took up my concerns with Scotty privately. So I informed him that more than one person has left that group because of all the off-topic stuff. There was actually one guy right in that thread who said that he was going to leave the group because of all the off-topic crap. And then at one point I went back and I looked at it, and his like comment was all, I don't know, like it looked all weird and light, and it said like this person is no longer a member of the group. So people have actually left the group because of that nonsense on there or whatever, and that's unfortunate, and I've informed Scotty about that, and what he decides to do with that knowledge is up to him. So, and don't get me wrong, I love myself a good meme. Just okay, I'm not going to get into that. Oh, Glowforge is a personal laser cutter. Yeah, that sounds super awesome, actually. Okay, what do we want to do now? I want to start hitting some of this stucco area. Oh, I got a weird blob of paint on this. Come on, get off. So, in the past, I'm just gonna put this like this so you guys can see what it kind of looks like all together. In the past, I've always just painted these stuccoed areas with like a color like this, but I feel like that might be boring. I'm really tempted to do like a maroon or something. I'm just like really nervous that it's going to make it look ridiculous. Something like one of these, like this wine color. I think I'm going to try it on a small section just to see. Yeah, Alan, when people started complaining about people's work in progress pictures, that's when I knew that some people are just ridiculous. I mean, the whole friggin' point of that group in my eyes is to show work in progress pictures. Yeah, like I said, I talked to Scotty and I talked to Lee, who are the two mods that seem to be the most active on there. I told them my concerns. I offered my input as someone who has run many forums on my own, and yep, we'll leave it at that. We'll see what they say. Breaking Inferno, what's up, buddy? Go Barn, Alan, go Barn Red. Okay, I think I am going to go for the red. I'm not going to dip right into bright red. I'm going to start with this kind of purpley wine base coat, and then we'll see how it looks, and I might build it up into brighter reds. Yes, I am using acrylics. So yeah, that's the reality. Is if I don't, I'm going to do a few spots, and if I don't like it, no big deal. I can paint right over it again. It is not permanent. So I think I'm gonna do it on this. We'll do it on the back, right? We'll see how it looks on the back. I think though I need a more detail brush. This is not the best painting task for trying to keep up on the chat log with, or just or to keep talking, but all right, get in there. A lot of excess paint here. Just trying to get rid of some of this excess paint. I don't want to have obvious brush strokes. Whenever I get to this stage of painting these buildings, I always hate myself for doing so much like woodwork. Like this is going to get really annoying to paint, but okay. So what do we think, everybody? Are we on track here? Are we taking crazy pills? You might need to get a Vox box and headphones to read out the... Oh my god, that's exactly what I need. I need something to read me the chat. I'm gonna look into that. No, John, you have to stream live wagon building. Yeah, man, you should definitely do it. And I'll tell you what, John, if you set yourself up to do a live stream, how about this? Once you got it figured out and you're comfortable with it, we do a hangout and we can do a stream together. Because I always thought that was like one of the coolest things was Scotty and Gareth doing the Crafters Tavern. I thought that was awesome, but they haven't been able to do it for several months. I like the idea of picking up something like that, but actually not just talking about the craft, but actually working at the same time. So you get your stuff sorted out, figure out streaming for yourself, and if you're up for it, maybe we can do something together. Yeah, don't worry. Nobody needs to mention washes. That will be the final step of this. Well, the second last step is I will go over everything in a couple washes to tie it all together, tone it down, bring out the little details, and then I'll seal it up with the varnish to bring out even more detail with it. All right, that's one whole section done. Do you like it? Seems pretty friggin' bold at the moment, but I think the washes will really help. I'm just not sure where to go next with this color before the washes. Like if it should, like, there's a lot of texture in this foam here that a dry brushing would hit. I just don't know, do I dry brush it with a bright red? I don't really want to just do the adding white to this like you would with another color, because that'll be pink. Maybe I just hit it with like an ivory kind of color. It looks really wet right now, so it's kind of hard to tell. You could be right, John. If they painted that stucco, they probably would have painted the woodwork. But I've definitely seen a lot of buildings that had the red or purple stucco work and kept the wood, or they painted the wood brown. So I'm gonna stick with that. I like the natural wood. Yeah, John, don't worry. Your invite to Crafters Tavern hasn't happened because there hasn't been a craft. Like the last Crafters Tavern was the first Crafters Tavern that I was on, and that was like, it was like the weekend after Force Awakens came out. So how long ago has that been now? Oh, Alan, you missed it. Yeah, I was saying earlier that I've been hitting all my projects with the Minowax satin varnish, and it's making everything nice and rock hard and bringing out more details in the stuff. And if you missed that point, I'll also say that the Minowax brand stuff does not melt styrofoam. So if you have any styrofoam that hasn't been protected by glue or anything, it won't melt it. It is awesome. Varathane brand will melt the styrofoam. So that is my little discovery that I'm planning on. That's something I need to make a video on as a quick tip, because it's a pretty important thing. The right hand panel is unevenly coated. I think all of them are unevenly coated at this point. To be honest, I think they all need a second coat. It's cheap craft paint, man. In here. This is such a friggin' tedious thing to paint. I will say that the way it's showing up on camera is not quite the way it's showing up in real life. I haven't got the white balance settings right on this webcam yet, so the colors are not totally accurate. But anyway, keeping in mind that everything will get a black wash, tone everything down after, what do I do to this color for the dry brushing? Do I hit it with a more vibrant red? Like, I really don't think I can just add white to the mix and make it lighter, because I don't want it to be pink. It's a little bit awkward painting this kind of stuff under the webcam. Normally I'd hold it right up to my face like an old man. Realizing that I got paint on that brush still. Bloody walls. I am not painting the wood yellow. Sorry, it's not going to happen. I also don't want this to be tied to being a tavern. Yes. Maybe I should just put a big Pringles tower on this, John. Oh my god, you guys. I turn to you for advice. You're gonna get me painting this thing like McDonald's. Watery black purple for the wash. Possibly. That's... I don't know. We'll have to experiment, I think. All these little bastard squares here. Well, I'll figure out what I'm going to do for the next highlight color on this stuff. I do think that I will, whatever I do, I am going to do finish it with a very, very light dry brushing of like a cream color before the wash. Just to kind of make it look like that's the parts where maybe it's worn off, like the paint is kind of like chipped away on the high points, revealing the white stucco beneath. Oh, it's so hot in this room, guys. The only part of the house that doesn't have central air. I'm dying. My cold-blooded Northman body can't handle it. Alan, now you got me thinking about that text-to-voice idea. That would be awesome. If I could have like in-ear text, a chat feed. It'd be pretty pro. Pardon my silence. This takes great concentration. Okay, one more side to go. It's gonna catch up here. Add a bit of tiny ivory, a tiny bit of ivory to it, not white. That yes, it's actually typically. I never add just white. I use a vanilla color. It's kind of like an off-white when I'm lightening things. John, tell your fiance I'm sorry for waking her up. Offer her some Pringles in condolence. Ooh, it's a brothel. There's an idea. It can be a brothel that was once a mill turned brothel, and it can have some kind of name that's a pun on something about grinding stone. Make a lamppost and make the lamp detachable. You know I already have detachable lampposts, buddy. I have like the ones that I build that can go in front, but this one I'll probably hang a hook from one of these things here, and we'll make a lantern for that. Yes, a modular water wheel. I was already planning on that before. I was planning on building that before I painted this, but never happened. Yeah, that's true. I could actually invest all this time and effort into getting a text-to-speech thing, and then all I'll hear is red wizard home magic items plenty. The sign outside could have a bearded mouth. Yeah, and it might drive me crazy. So maybe that's not a great idea. The bump and grind. Done. We have a winner, winner chicken dinner. The bump and grind. John, I think that's your next wagon project is a traveling brothel. You can customize it all up so there's like modular beds in it. I think, okay, now that this is, the backside here is a little bit more dry, I'm wondering if it needs a whole other coat of this before moving forward with highlights, or if we just leave it with a bit of that darkness showing through. Might actually be okay to leave it, eh? Good night, John. Thanks for joining us. I look forward to your video on the brothel wagon. Made entirely out of Pringles cans. Oh, the come again. You guys kill me. It's pretty good. That is pretty good, I gotta say. So I had originally planned this stream to be 1 hour. That was my budget. 1 hour, and then I go to bed. I think, what are we at? 2 hours here? I can never keep these streams down to just 1 hour, which is fine. That's probably a good thing. Keep it going. Maybe one day I'll do, like, on a weekend, an epic entire afternoon stream. Hey, this is the last panel. All right. All those panels done. Let's do a overview here so you guys can see how we are looking. Oh, touch the wet paint, why don't you, you asshole? So that's where we're at here. I think the red is probably the right idea. I think it's going to look good. Let's figure out the highlights. What about this here? Should this thing have a red door to match, or is that too much? Is that going too far? Yeah, that might be pushing it, eh? Maybe a very light dry brush of the same color, it'll look lighter. I don't know that that'll... You know what, I'm going to take some off-white, and I'm going to add a little bit, and just see how that looks. I can always come back and bring it back down if I need to. If it ends up, you know what, actually if it ends up looking a little too pink. I'm probably not even that worried about it because I'm gonna give it a black, like, it's gonna end up getting a black wash, so that's gonna take out any pink. Now dry brushing in these little areas is gonna be a little bit tricky. It sure looks pink to me. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the wash will tone down any pinkness. Blue door, no. Now okay, you know what? The door is gonna stay brown. Let's not go too crazy. Yeah, you're right. Somebody at some point decided to paint the plaster. You know, you got to make sure your terrain tells a story, right? And the story is that they painted out this plaster, or they plastered it with red plaster, whatever that may be. It doesn't actually mean that they would have painted the wood door red. Just so you guys know, the terrain tells a story. Whenever I'm building these buildings, I like to, in my head, imagine the story behind it. And so you know where I'm coming from with this one. This is a weird, that's hard to put together that way. This building is a weird shape, right? Like you got this really small lower story and then this upper story overhanging, and you have the the stone building and then this wood deck around it. And in my head, my thought is that this was originally just this stone building on the stone foundation, and that at some point later somebody came on and added this top story, like overhanging it, kind of, you know, makeshift style, and that's why it has this weird kind of shape to it. So anyway, that is the story of the building in my head. Okay. So I think that's not too crazy, going that direction there with this layer pink, and then I'll do a very small amount of dry brushing with a cream to hit the very highlights, and then it'll get the black wash, maybe a brown wash, and get in all these nooks and crannies so that there's like some dirt, you know, accumulated in the corners. I found that on the other buildings I did with this kind of what are these buildings called? Where they have the wood and the stucco in between. I think it's called half timbered. Could be wrong, but I'm gonna call it half timbered. The other half timbered buildings I've made, when I did the washes, I let them kind of settle in these lower crevices, and that I thought added to the realism a decent amount. Okay, that was the last side I painted, I guess, because it's still pretty wet. This is really awkward to try to paint these long pieces on camera, because normally I would just bring it back here and chill out, but it doesn't make much sense for a stream now, does it? I'm excited to have this building close to being finished because it sat on my work desk for a long time without a roof, and then finally I built the roof, and then it took a long time to even get it base coated. So, but like I said, this is not something I needed for a game. It's just something that I wanted to. I'm just trying to build up my arsenal of various buildings, so it kept getting put aside while I made things that I actually needed for upcoming games. I'm really looking forward to having a collection of, 20 or so buildings like this to work with. Right now, this is my fourth, I'm gonna call it high detailed building that I've done. I have a whole bunch of other stuff that I kind of whipped together more, like there's the cardboard style and a whole bunch of tilescapes fronts, but honestly I want to have a whole bunch of these FOAMCORE buildings that are a little bit more detailed and ditch the other stuff. But they're not one-day builds, so it'll take a bit longer. I like that I get frustrated and annoyed trying to dry brush something this big, thinking it's such a small area, and then you guys that paint minis, that's like a football field to you. Ah, man, don't get it on the wood. Any of this red that I get on the wood, we're just gonna say it's part of the story. The vagrant that the grinding stone hired to paint out their, what the hell was that? Paint out their stucco. Did a poor job. Got it on the wood. Sorry, I'm getting Kijiji messages here. Stop getting it on the wood, you crappy painter guy. Now I'm going to build this nice building. And then, oh shit, bump. Ah, you know what? Hey, actually, I bumped the webcam, but maybe that's a nice angle. We're gonna keep it there for a bit. Anyways, what was I saying? How do I interrupt myself? I'm such a rude conversationalist that even when I'm just by myself talking, I interrupt myself. Anyway, I'm gonna paint this nice building, build it. I'm gonna put it on my game table for some sort of, thing at my game night. And then Bommy, my group's asshole halfling rogue, is probably going to set it on fire. That's how it's going to be. I'm sure of it. Tudor. Is that what these buildings are called? Tudor? Yeah, if this isn't, yeah, you're right, Alan. If this isn't in, it's a very small one, like in a small town where they only have 2 rooms for rent. We're up here now. It's getting to that point in the night where I'm getting very sloppy. One last panel. Okay, there's the back now that it's kind of dried up a bit. I think it looks okay. I'm going to try quickly doing a tiny bit of just that off-white vanilla color to see how it looks. I don't know if I'm up for doing it all right now. I am just about worn out here, ready for bed. Now I have to keep this to a minimum, I think. Oop, already too much. Get all that paint off the brush. So something like that. Keeping in mind it's all going to get a dark wash. So it won't stay looking that white. On that same note, I think all the woodwork needs one more very light, very small dry brushing of another lighter tone, but I'll do that another time. I think that's bringing out the texture pretty good. I don't know for sure how it's going to look with the wash, but I'm sure it's going to be a lot more subtle. Slow down, Turbo, it's not a race. I know. Okay. I don't think I am up for doing all that tonight, so. Recaps. This is where we're at here. You know, got the back there. Everything looking a little bit silly with those bright patches on the stucco and on the stone. But I know the wash is gonna tone that down, so. Alright guys, I'm gonna call it quits. Gonna wash my brushes. And again, as usual, thank you so much for hanging out with me while I work on stuff. It's a pleasure. And I'm sure you guys already are subscribers considering you're here. If you're not, if you happen to be lurking, please hit subscribe. And you guys, my regulars, be sure to hit like on the video if you haven't already. Once the archive is up, feel free to drop a comment in the comments section. That stuff's always appreciated, and it helps YouTube push the video on other people. So with that, I am going to find the button here and sign off. Good night, guys. I'll try to join you when I pick up the rest of this. Have a good one.